have something I'd like to talk about and share. And that's the idea of looking for something or searching, and what we're doing when we come to practice seeking something. Whether it's practice on general terms and it's been part of your life for years, or what brought you here tonight, what took you out of your home and got you in your car or on the bus and brought you into this room this evening. I know for me it's changed over the years, and there were times that I was looking for an answer, but I hadn't figured out what the question was yet. There were times that I knew I wanted just some quiet, whether it was literal silence or peace of mind silence. Validation from the teacher. To have a monitor not yell at me. That each time I would come to sit, there was something that I was hoping to find. And sometimes I knew what it was, and sometimes I didn't. But there was always something a little bit graspy that I thought I could have, that I didn't have already. And it's a theme that kind of, as the kind of onion of practice gets peeled, each layer gets peeled away, I kind of keep finding new layers of this, of my quest. And it's not necessarily materialistic or spiritually materialistic, but it's kind of the thread I keep following that keeps coming, bringing me back to the cushion and back to my practice. And sometimes it's really elusive and vague, and sometimes I sit down and went, got it this time, or found it. Still not quite knowing what it was. And sometimes it's something external and visible, and sometimes it's very, very subtle and interior. But I think if I took all of these ideas of what I was looking for or hoping to find or discover in practice, there's always at its core or at its essence something deeply personal and mine, and it's my own true nature, whatever that is. And some days I'll get up from a sitting period and feel like I saw something and get excited about it. And sometimes I'll see something and it's really revealing a piece of me I didn't want to see. My intolerance, my low boiling point, my ideas about how something should be or how somebody else should be. And sometimes it's just much more spacious and fluid than that. But the idea that there is something to find makes more sense some days than it does other days. But there's something useful about having something that brings us to our practice, to our cushion each day, to retreats each month. so that seeking does have a useful role. But what it looks like, what it sounds like when I encounter it is usually a surprise to me. I was in Hawaii a little more than a month ago, end of December, and it was a really nice trip, especially because the year before I had been there on Maui after the fires, and it was a work trip, and it was heartbreaking over and over and over again, and this was going to be a pure vacation and fun, and I got to be with my husband, and I was very excited about this trip. And we were going to visit 2 different islands and they were both places I hadn't been before. And I was thrilled about it, and we were working hard to choose what we wanted to do without over planning, and make this a really complete feeling trip in some way. And we went to the Big Island first, and I hadn't seen volcanoes before. We had great hikes, we had great food, we stayed at a beautiful place. And everything we did and everywhere we went, my mind was blown, it was exciting, it was fantastic. And there was this part of me going, it's really nice, but where are the sea turtles? I want to see sea turtles again. And we were in helicopters and just doing all this cool stuff, and there was this little piece of me going, yeah, it's great, but you know, it'd be nicer if I were seeing the sea turtles. And I get obsessy in general, but sea turtles have been in my dreams for some reason since I was probably 3 or 4 years old. So the idea of like getting to see them, and then having already been on one of the islands and had a really nice encounter with one, was really hungry for sea turtle experiences. And I just went through an entire week with this, I'm cool, I'm with you, we're holding hands, we're walking on the beach, but I'm like glancing over my husband's shoulder, looking for the sea turtles. And the week ended, and we got in a plane and flew to another island, and I just thought maybe this isn't the big sea turtle island, maybe I already saw that. It's okay. And then we get to Kauai, and we're on the water, and every day we're walking hours and hours on beaches, and it's great, and there's coral, and there's sea lions, and there's really nice people that we're meeting. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I really wanted to see sea turtles. I thought I was going to get to see the sea turtles again. And our last full day of this vacation, I decided I was gonna rent flippers and snorkel. And didn't say anything, trying to be a grown-up about this. And I had mentioned to the guy in the little rental shack that I hadn't done this before. So he's giving me a little lesson. And then he said, you know, just go out that way. That's where all the sea turtles are. And this was the beach we walked to from our condo that we had been at every single day. And I go out, not even far, maybe a little bit longer than the length of this room, and kind of just find a place where I can get my bearings and lock my arm onto a rock so I could stay still for a second. One just goes right past me. And I'm like, what? And all of a sudden, I like start just watching the surface of the water, and in every direction around me, there's this like boop, and there's like this little head, and there's another sea turtle. And I put the mask on and I look down, and within like 6 feet of me, there's 2 more like here and there, just snoozing on the bottom, right there. I turn around to look at Tim and I'm waving, and I'm like trying to figure out what the sign language is for sea turtles. And sit down onto this lava rock, and one's coming from like, I see him from about Jodo's distance, and we like looked at each other, and he's like coming toward me, and he's coming toward me. And I don't know what to do, because you're not supposed to touch them. And he came right up to me, he grazed my shoulder and swam past me, but it was this very intentional contact, and swam away. And everywhere I look, I'm seeing sea turtle heads popping up at this beach I'd been at every day for the last week. And I think the idea of coming to practice, whether it's coming to my cushion each morning or coming to practice in a bigger way, the idea that what I'm looking for or think I need to find is right here. I'm in the midst of it. I'm not separate from it. I'm not sure why I don't see it when I don't see it, or why I do see it when I do see it. But it probably doesn't have a lot to do with turtles, except for me. But there was this thing that started happening after, is how often am I seeking something in life that I think is somewhere else? And if it's not, if I don't have to look, if it doesn't have to be work, why is that so hard? And why do I feel as rattled as I do right now just thinking of it? The idea that something I think I'm missing, I have, almost hurts to grapple with and accept the idea that I might know it already, I might have it already, I might be it already without efforting in the ways that my habitual patterns tend to ripple in. It's tricky. Got home from the trip and dumped photos that I took just on my phone. Beside, I had a camera with me, but the phone pictures that I was taking, when I got them on a big screen and started enlarging them, I started realizing everywhere we went, the turtles were with us all along. And I can't stop thinking about what I'm caught up in that makes me miss something that I crave so bad. And maybe even just the craving itself is what makes being able to see what's right in front of me harder to see. But how do we have something that motivates us and brings us to our practice and accept that we have it? What is it like to, what would it be like to sit down on the cushion knowing everything you need is there with you already in that moment? Early in my practice, I think some teachers kind of get their slogans that they use and something that gets a theme that repeats through a lot of talks. And my first teacher used to say that we are born perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And he said it in a lot of talks. And each time I heard these words, I would really very automatically like turn to see who he was talking to that was behind me, because that couldn't possibly be me that he was addressing in this talk. And it wasn't particularly directly me, it was me and the 60 other people in the room. But that idea that we could be perfect and complete, lacking nothing, and it could include me, not just the other people in the room who were more still when they sat zazen, that had something interesting to ask during a mondo or a dharma combat, that it could include the people that always seemed to be doing everything right in the zendo, and the people that were new and trying to figure it out. Is something kind of strange for me anyway, to play with. And can I sit down on the cushion and believe that I'm perfect and complete as I am, and sea turtles are as close as I would hope for them to be, and my own peace of mind and my own ability to work with my emotions and my relationships and traffic and dokusan and marriage and the garbage going to eco-cycle, and see it as workable and everything that it needs to be, that my life is, regardless of who's president, who did or didn't return my phone call or text, and find a way to be okay with it, accept it as it is, while the circumstances are what they are in any given moment. And I'm wondering what this is like for each of you. Do you come in looking for something when you arrive here on a Monday night, or when you open Zoom, when you're on your cushion at home, and the teacher that you thought was going to be giving the talk isn't here tonight, or the thing you wanted to ask in Dokusan didn't happen because you got left online? And are you able to see the completeness in those moments? And are you able to get enough of what you're looking for, or get rid of enough of what you're looking to get rid of, to make this worthwhile for you and to keep bringing you back? And can you keep coming back to your practice each day, each week, each year, with something alive enough to be inviting and encouraging, but doesn't feel like it's seeking in a way that drains or depletes or blinds you to your own existence? I have thoughts running through my head that are the, what are you talking about? And also I really want to be able to come up with something to offer you, to share with you that's worthwhile, that does meet whatever it is that brought you in here today that you were looking for or hoping to find. And it's really humbling, and at the same time, I've been to hundreds of talks, and some of them I thought of for days or years, and some of them I don't even remember what the talk was about by the time I have my shoes on. And I'm thinking of the words in the Shuso Hosen after the Dharma combat, where there's this hope that there's enough water in the Boulder Creek to wash your ears of what you just heard. Or we used to have the Atlantic Ocean, or wherever the Zen Center is. But I do want to ask you to notice when you are looking for something, and notice what might happen if you found out it was already with you, that you already knew it, that you already were it, that you already have it. And notice what it does in your body. What does it feel like to recognize your own wholeness tonight, in here, now? And what might it be like to notice that when you're having oatmeal? What would it be like to notice that when someone just yelled at you? Or you just yelled at somebody you love? And what if that's enough? What if there's nothing else you need to look for or find or give away or wear and accumulate? What if that's enough? What does our Buddha nature look like? And how do you work with it being or not being what you hoped it would be? I think I'm going to close here and leave you with that to sit with. But after our zazen, I would really love to hear what your experience is of seeking, discovering, not finding your own nature in your practice.